Hey everybody, it's me, Stuart. Today we're going to read a story called The Emperor's New Clothes. Here we go. Many years ago, there lived an emperor who was so fond of fine clothes that he spent all his money on his outfits. He was so vain that he didn't care about his soldiers or going to the theater or hunting. All he cared about was how well dressed he was. Whenever he went out, it was so he could show off his clothes. The emperor had a different suit for every hour of the day. Where most rulers could be found in their court with their ministers, the emperor could always be found in his wardrobe. The great city where the emperor ruled was very merry and busy, and many travelers, merchants, and strangers from far away traveled to visit and do business there. One day, two tricksters arrived in town, claiming that they were weavers of the finest cloth. They told everyone that they could weave luxurious material of the most beautiful colors and elaborate patterns. The clothes that were made from this material, they claimed, had the amazing property of remaining invisible to anyone who was unfit for the position they held or who was incredibly simple. What marvelous cloth that must be, thought the emperor when he heard about it. If I had clothes made from that material, I could tell who was unfit for their positions. I'd also be able to see who was wise and who was foolish. I must get this cloth woven for me straight away. The emperor summoned the two swindlers and gave them their instructions for his suit. He gave them large sums of money so they could start work immediately. The weavers set up two enormous looms in a comfortable room where they could work and sleep. To make the cloth, the weavers asked for the most delicate silk and for thread made out of pure gold. They sat in front of the empty looms all day and into the night pretending to weave, but they really stole the expensive silk and thread in their packs so they could sell it later. After some time had passed, the emperor thought to himself, I should very much like to see how the weavers are getting on with the cloth. But when he remembered that someone who was unfit for his position or who was extremely simple could not see the cloth, the emperor became uneasy about going to see for himself. Indeed, everyone in town knew about the amazing properties of the cloth and was eagerly looking forward to discover who of their friends and neighbors could not see it. I am sure that there is nothing for me to fear, really, thought the emperor after some deliberation. But it might be best to send someone else first to let me know how it is going before I trouble myself. I will send my honest old minister to the weavers. He will be the best judge of how it looks, as he is a man of sense, and no one is more suited for their position than he is. The faithful old minister went along to the weavers' rooms, where the two swindlers were pretending to work with all their might at their empty looms. What can this mean, thought the minister, his eyes opening wide. I cannot see anything at all. The two impostors invited him to come near and look at the cloth. They asked the minister if the design pleased him and if he thought that the colors were very beautiful, pointing at their empty looms all the while. The poor minister tried his very best to see the cloth, but he couldn't see anything, simply because there was nothing to be seen. Oh dear, thought the minister, could it be that I am a simpleton? I have never thought so, but if I am, no one must know. Maybe I am not fit for my position. No, that must not be discovered either. I mustn't say that I can't see the cloth. Now, dear minister, what do you think? Does our work please you? Asked one of the swindlers, still pretending to work at the loom. Oh, it is excellent, replied the minister. It is exceedingly beautiful. What stunning colors! What brilliant patterns! I shall tell the emperor that I like the cloth very much. We are very pleased to hear that, said the rogues, and they proceeded to explain the pattern and to describe the beautiful colors. The minister then explained it all to the emperor. The weavers then asked for more silk and gold so they could finish what they'd begun. However, everything they received was stowed in their packs to be sold later, and they continued to work away at the empty looms. Soon afterwards, the emperor decided to send another trusted member of his court to the weavers to see how they were progressing and if the cloth was nearly finished. Like the old minister, the courtier looked and looked, but couldn't see anything, and there was nothing to be seen. It is a beautiful piece of cloth, is it not? Asked the two tricksters, showing and describing the magnificent colors and patterns, which did not really exist. I am not stupid, thought the courtier in panic, so I must not be fit for my position. I must not let anyone know this is the case." So the courtier praised the cloth, which he couldn't see. "It is indeed extraordinarily magnificent, Your Imperial Majesty," said the courtier to the emperor when he returned to make his report. By now, everyone in the town was talking about the incredible cloth. The emperor decided that he must go and see it for himself while it was still on the loom. Accompanied by a number of officials, including the two who had already visited the weavers, he went to see the progress of the cloth. When they saw the emperor approaching, the two rogues pretended to work harder than ever, although they still didn't pass any thread through the loom. "Is it not magnificent?" said the two officials who had already been there before. "Your Majesty must admire the colors and patterns." They pointed to the empty looms as they imagined that the others must be able to see the cloth and did not want them to know that they could not. "What is this?" thought the emperor in dismay. "I do not see anything at all. Am I stupid? Am I unfit for my position as emperor? That would be the worst thing imaginable." "Oh, the cloth is charming," the emperor said aloud. "It has my complete approval." He smiled and nodded as he looked at the empty loom, for he did not want to say that he could not see anything. All the officials with him looked, and although they could not see anything, they all nodded and exclaimed, "Magnificent! Beautiful!" They advised the emperor to have some clothes made from the cloth for a great procession that was soon to take place. Everyone seemed to be delighted, and the emperor even presented the weavers with ribbons of knighthood and the titles Imperial Court Weavers. Wow. The day before the procession, the tricksters pretended to work on the emperor's outfit. They pretended to take the cloth from the loom and cut in the air with big scissors. They acted at sewing the invisible cloth with needles. At last, they announced, "The emperor's new suit is ready." The emperor came to the weavers with all the officials of his court to see the new clothes. The tricksters raised up their arms as if they had a suit of clothing draped over them. "Here are the trousers," they said. "This is the coat and this is the cloak. The cloth is as light as a cobweb. You might almost imagine you have nothing on when you're wearing it, but that is one of the virtues of this delicate cloth." "Indeed," said all the court officials, even though they could not see anything. "If your Majesty will remove his clothes," said the weavers, "we will fit the new suit in front of the mirror here." The emperor undressed and the swindlers pretended to dress him in a new suit. The emperor turned from side to side in front of the mirror, so he looked like he was admiring his new clothes. "How wonderful His Majesty looks in his new suit, and how well it fits," everyone exclaimed. "What a beautiful pattern! What fine colors!" The master of ceremonies announced that the procession was about to start. "I am ready," said the emperor. "Do my new clothes fit well?" He's not wearing any clothes. The courtiers who were to carry the royal train felt around on the ground, as though they were lifting the end of a cloak. They did not want people to think that they were simple or unfit for their position. The emperor marched out in the middle of the procession under a beautiful canopy. All the townspeople were standing along the street and hanging out the windows, waiting to see the new suit. Everyone who saw him exclaimed, "How magnificent are our emperor's new clothes! How well they fit him!" No one wanted to admit that they could not see the outfit, because they didn't want their friends and neighbors to think that they were stupid or unfit for their positions. As the emperor entered the great square, there was a great roar. But in the moment of quiet that followed the cheers, the voice of a little boy could be heard. "But he has nothing on," exclaimed the little boy. "Good heavens, listen to the voice of an innocent child," exclaimed someone, and then the whole crowd started to whisper to each other, "He has nothing on." The voices got louder until everyone was shouting, "He has nothing on," at the tops of their voices and rolling with laughter. The emperor tried for a moment or two to remain dignified, then took to his heels and scurried back to the palace. The two tricksters had fled, taken all their gold and precious silk with them, and were never seen again. And from that time on, the emperor became less vain about his clothes. The end. Wow, that was a fun story. He was naked walking through town. That's silly. Alright, well thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. See ya!